again, YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. Listen, if you're new to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe and go ahead and hit the notification bell. For those who are coming back, welcome back. And you see the subject line, I'm talking about relationships. I'm talking about females in particular who fall prey to these long relationships, not those who already decided in their mind that they don't necessarily want to make a commitment, but those who actually want the commitment, yet they find themselves victim to these long relationships that last years and years and years, and then the man fails to make a commitment. I'm not speaking off the top of my head, so to speak. I have been married for almost 29 years. This June will make 29 years that I've been married, and I am only 47 years old. So I'm going to be 48 this year. So do the math. I've been married for several years, and listen, I will tell anybody that marriage is not easy. However, I just find that a lot of times what's happening in these relationships, females get stuck, they settle. Listen, a guy, most men, the typical man is going to be afraid of commitment. That's kind of, an unsaid rule, because most men feel like, look, they're going to have, lack of being able to have freedom, and so they look at this commitment as jail time for the most part. Now, not all men are like that, but I just want to say, women, stop settling, and women, please stop staying in these long relationships for 5, 10, 15 years, and you want a marriage commitment, and that partner that you're involved with, he has refused to make that commitment, yet you have settled and just decided that you're just going to take it because you want to have somebody, and nobody really wants to be alone. I don't care how much, unless God has placed that in your heart that you're going to live a single life, nobody really wants to be single. And so what happens is the female starts to settle and the man gets comfortable. And women, please stop taking on the role of wife when he has not made a commitment, because I see a lot of you out there, and what you're doing is you're taking on the role of a wife. And I remember I was only 17. I hadn't turned 18 yet. Well, I may have already been 18 because I got married at 18, but I remember my husband's mother, who's passed on, God rest her soul. But I remember her telling me before we got married, and even though we were young, she told me, she said, don't move in with him, because if you move in with him, he will never marry you. And I'll never forget that she told me that. And my husband and I did not date long, because obviously I was only 18. I was out of high school. I had already went through college. I was in college at 16, and I did a 2-year degree. So I graduated at 18, but shortly after I graduated, we got married. No, let me back up. I graduated at 89, and we got married in 1990. So women, what I'm trying to tell you is stop settling, stop letting the man take advantage of you. There are plenty of good men out there who want that commitment. But if a man has been dating you for at least 2 or 3 years and he don't yet know what he wants to do, he may not be the man for you. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm going to be real with you. It does not take long. I remember, like I said, my husband and I, we were dating. I was only 16. I was in college now, remember, but I was only 16 at the time. And I remember he and I talking about marriage, and I remember him telling me, he said, there's going to come a time where I'm going to be taking care of you. And we were already talking about marriage, but I knew I had already been dating prior to that. And actually, my husband was not my type, because honestly, as far as physical wise, I tended to lean towards a lighter skinned guy, and my husband is really, really dark skinned. But he won me over. He stole my heart. And it was after we had a conversation and we sat down and he talked about his family. And I was like, you know what? I was prejudging this guy. I was looking at him. And yes, true enough, he was a ball player. And true enough, back then in college, there were, different girls that were trying to hit on him. And he probably was, egging it on. I'm sure he was. But in all actuality, he had a really good family background. And when I realized that, I was more attracted to him in that way. And then he had a singing voice. He could sing, and that really just won me over, guys. And here I am blushing after almost 29 years. But what I'm trying to tell you, women, is you guys are allowing men to take advantage of you. And another thing, women, some of you are too aggressive. Listen, a man is built for the chase. A man has that built within him that he wants to chase you. And so what happens is the woman takes on that man role and she starts chasing after him when he really wants to chase after you. And my husband chased me. I'm telling you, I was not paying him any attention. I was not interested, but he kept on and he kept on and he kept on. And then finally he kind of pulled back. And that's when I really realized that, hey, I kind of really like this guy. And so then I started kind of pressing up on him, you know. Like I said, I was 16, but yet and still I've always been very mature for my age. And we got married when I was 18, and we are still together today. We still have fun with each other. Granted, we have our disagreements. We don't see eye to eye on a lot of things because we're really different as night and day. My husband is more outgoing, and he's a people person. He really attracts people. I'm more reserved. I'm more of a loner. I like my quiet time. I do, want to have people around me sometimes, but I value my quiet time. But guys, what I'm really, really trying to get across is women, you're settling too much. You're taking on the role that a man should take on. And this is why so many of you find yourselves stuck in these long relationships and there's still no commitment. And stop taking on these wifely roles, cooking for him every day, washing his clothes, moving in. Why do you have to move in with this guy? Please tell me that. Why can't you keep dating? Don't you know when you keep dating, that keeps it more alive? And then, if he really wants you, then he's going to pop the question, and a lot of times you guys put yourselves in this position, and this is why you yet still don't have commitment. And so I don't want you to be discouraged, and I'm not trying to judge you. Even though my husband's mother did tell me that, we did live together for a very, very short time. But because I'm from the Bahamas and he's from the U.S. and I was here in the U.S. at the time, and, I really didn't have anywhere else to stay. So we lived together, at a family member's house. We didn't actually go in and get a house together. We were at a family member's. But eventually he made that commitment and he was scared. He was scared. I thought I was ready, and we went through a lot of ups and downs because we got married so young, and being married so young, we had to grow up together. So, marriage has its ups and downs, but I really want to get the point across that for those of you that do desire marriage, those women that do desire marriage, you have to really sit back and think, what have you given up and what has he given up? Because a lot of times you women are doing most of the giving up, and the man is sitting back just receiving all the benefits in the relationship, and that may not always be the case, because then sometimes you have it on the other hand where it's the female that's scared of commitment. But I'm really want to address the women, because a lot of times I see in my Facebook news feed different people in these relationships. I know of people that have been in long relationships. I know of single women that want to be married. And you guys may call me old fashioned, but listen, it's been working for me. It's still working. So at the end of the day, you really want to think about it, because a lot of times you guys have just settled and these men have become very comfortable in the relationship. So they no longer feel a need to even win you over, because they already feel like they got you. And so there you are. So women, be smart. Think about who's really giving the most in these relationships. Think about whether you really are giving more in the relationship and he's just sitting back reaping the rewards. And, stop moving in with these guys. It's not necessary. I know a lot of times you feel like, for finance's sake, you guys can do better together. I'm old fashioned, and I remember, I'll never forget what my husband's mother told me. And I just feel like it works out better when you don't do that. And a man will respect you more. And a lot of times men, they will sleep with different women and they will be in relationship with different women, but in the back of their minds, they know the type of woman that they really want to make that commitment with. And women think that it's the being loose and being forward and being aggressive and trying to be extra ultra sexy and showing off all your body and this and that and other. Most of the time, a man, yeah, they're attracted to that. But at the end of the day, they're not going to make that commitment. So women, I just want you to wise up. And like I said, I'm not trying to beat anybody up. I just really thought I would give some advice simply because I have been there. I have been in a relationship marriage for a long time. And we must be doing something right according to the fact that we're still married. And obviously, I keep God at the center of our relationship. Ultimately, you know, nothing's going to really go right without God in the midst of your relationship. So hope this was some pointers for some people. Some people may be offended by it. Let's have a discussion about it. Let me know what you think. Do you think I'm too old-fashioned? Do you think the rules still apply? Do you feel as if a woman should be more forward these days and the aggressor? What do you think? Leave me a comment down below. And also, if you haven't subscribed, again, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I like to do discussions on different topics, biblical, church topics. Sometimes it's trending topics from a biblical perspective. And so I appreciate your feedback. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.